Happy New Year's Eve. I wanted to get at least one last theory out as we go forward into 2026. But, of course, my voice is starting to go out, so we'll see how that plays out. So an image graced my Twitter feed asking, what does the term modern audience mean to me? If I were to sum it up in ways that would actually help, I would say that the term modern audience is basically a form of sleight of hand made to fool people into spending money on false solutions and phantom demographics. In short, it is just a means of supplanting one's audience for a speculative, hypothetical audience that is hardly ever proven to exist in any meaningful way. Now, it's normally at this point that people will come in and say that they disagree with my statement, but if I were wrong in any capacity, then the media created for this so-called modern audience would have a higher ratio of successes to financial losses. Losses that have done more damage to studios and brands than actually just staying the course and meeting the needs of the core audience. And I'm not saying this just for legacy IP, but also for wholly untested new IPs which fail due to chasing this ideological dead end. The reality is, of course, that we should not treat demographics as a zero-sum game. It is possible to cater to these newer audiences while maintaining the existing core audience, but of course that hinges on understanding the wants and needs of the core and expanded audience while executing ideas that may keep both engaged. There is a possibility of perhaps creating a spin-off series that is more in line with what new audiences would want, which could bridge that expanded audience into the main series. Even then, we still want to ensure that both audiences are being properly served, which is a hard lesson that Nintendo had to learn during the Wii and Wii U console cycles. With that being said, sacrificing one audience for another never bodes well, and if you're unconvinced about this, look to the potential backlash surrounding IO Interactive's statement concerning 007 First Light and their feelings of how tone-deaf James Bond would be to today's audiences.
007 First Light developer IO Interactive has said that their version of James Bond won't be anything like the old-school spy of the 1960s, a decision the studio claimed would be tone-deaf today. 007 First Light, the next game from the Swedish studio, is now primed to launch in May 2026 after a short delay. Releasing before Hitman 4, which the studio has promised will happen, the upcoming stealth action game is a more modern take on the iconic British spy. Speaking to Monster Vine, Cinematics director Martin M. Borg revealed that while there will be elements of the smooth-talking Bond many have come to expect from the franchise, he'll be a modern guy and will reflect modern values. When asked at the Game Awards 2025 about whether or not their spy, played by Dexter Original Sin's Patrick Gibson, will share some of the earlier Bond's characteristics, specifically focusing on the character's womanizer tendencies, Borg explained said, "Yeah, you will see that." However, he went on to explain that the character of Bond has evolved, adding, "So, he's evolved through the decades, and obviously, we reflect modern values. So it's not going to be your old-school Bond, which would just be tone-deaf in this day, right? He's a modern guy."
Which of course leads me to another question that always seems to be asked when studios make this bold decision. Who exactly is this made for? It is hilarious though that even Reddit seems to be against making James Bond as bland as unseasoned boiled chicken in some half-hearted effort of not scaring the hoes. But this is the logical conclusion of catering to so-called modernity. But therein lies the problem. After being basically lied to by social media activists, journalists, and by extension activist-led consultation firms, studios have went full tilt into the wild goose chase that is catering to the modern audience, to diminishing returns of course. And when their results don't match up with the wants of their intended audience, it's impossible for them to course correct this far in development, so now lessons are being learned in real time. Ultimately, the term modern audience, global audience, or any variation needs to be fundamentally retired. If television shows, movies, and video games can be considered timeless and still captivate audiences decades after release, then trying to date them by locking them into a modern snapshot of a time period of which the majority of people can't wait to move on from seems counterintuitive and akin to some form of self-sabotage. With this move forward into the new year, I do hope that more people come to this conclusion and we can actually get back to making good games and innovating again. But we will see how that plays out. Thank you, and I will see you next boss fight.